The screen flickers, lines of code vanish one by one. A NASA engineer sits frozen, watching as critical files disappear from his monitor in real time. Someone is inside their network, right now, at this very moment. Life support systems for the International Space Station, gone. Environmental control algorithms, deleted. The code that keeps astronauts breathing in the vacuum of space, stolen. For 21 days, NASA will keep their most critical systems offline. The International Space Station will orbit Earth without ground support. Astronauts floating 250 miles above the planet, completely cut off from the engineers who keep them alive. But NASA isn't alone. At the Pentagon, classified emails are hemorrhaging from secure servers. Nuclear defense protocols, downloading. Military passwords, captured. America's most sensitive secrets are pouring out like water from a broken dam. The FBI traces the breach to a residential address in Miami. Agents gear up, expecting a foreign operative, a terrorist cell, maybe a Russian spy ring. They kick down the door at dawn, weapons drawn, ready for anything. Instead, they find a 15-year-old kid, still in his pajamas, still sitting at his computer. His name is Tyler Matthews, and what he did from his bedroom will expose just how fragile America's digital defenses really are. This is the story of the youngest person to ever breach the Pentagon, the teenager who held America's nuclear secrets in his hands, and the tragic ending that no one saw coming. This is Real Crime Central, where we take you inside the most unbelievable true crimes of the digital age. If you want to see how a kid outsmarted NASA and the Pentagon from his bedroom, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to hear will absolutely blow your mind. Back in 1989, a 6-year-old boy in suburban Miami got his hands on something that would change his life forever, a Gateway 2000 desktop computer. His father, a software engineer at IBM, brought it home thinking his son might enjoy some educational games. Within weeks, little Tyler Matthews had memorized every menu, conquered every game, and started asking questions his dad couldn't answer. By age 8, Tyler cracked his first password, the parental controls meant to limit his screen time. His father found him at 3 a.m, eyes bloodshot, fingers flying across the keyboard like a concert pianist. The punishment? Computer confiscated for 2 weeks. But Tyler's response changed everything. He broke into his middle school's grading system, changed his C in math to an A, printed the modified report card, and slid it across the dinner table during breakfast. "Give me back my computer," he said, staring at his parents with the kind of cold confidence that shouldn't exist in an 8-year-old, "and my grades stay perfect forever." His mother's fork stopped midair. His father stared at the printout, recognizing the code Tyler had used. SQL injection, a technique most professional programmers didn't master until college. Their 3rd grader had just executed digital blackmail. They returned his computer that night. What choice did they have? Online, Tyler became known as Phantom. No profile picture, no personal details, just raw skill that made veteran hackers twice his age sit up and take notice. In IRC chat rooms with names like Hack the Planet and Underground Elite, he absorbed techniques that wouldn't appear in textbooks for another decade. Buffer overflows, packet sniffing, port scanning, privilege escalation. One mentor who went by the handle Darkstar taught him the cardinal rule of hacking: never hit the same target twice. Always escalate. Tyler took notes in a spiral notebook he kept locked in his desk drawer, notes that would later become federal evidence. His first real target came in early 1999. BellSouth, the telecom giant serving 22 million customers across 9 states. Tyler scanned their network for 3 nights straight from his bedroom, searching for weaknesses. He found an unpatched server running outdated software and slipped inside like a ghost through a wall. For 4 hours, he navigated through customer databases, billing systems, internal emails. The company's entire southeastern communications infrastructure spread before him like an unguarded city. He downloaded nothing, changed nothing, left no trace except a single line in a log file that administrators wouldn't notice for 8 months. Tyler called it practice. But practice for what? At 15, Tyler had already breached a Fortune 500 company that handled communications for millions of Americans. School felt pointless. Why study calculus when you could reprogram reality? His bedroom walls displayed no posters of athletes or rock stars, just printouts of network diagrams and lines of code. While his classmates worried about getting their driver's licenses, Tyler studied declassified NSA documents about electromagnetic shielding and signal interception. He wasn't collecting baseball cards. He was collecting zero-day exploits, undiscovered vulnerabilities that could crack open any system in the world. And late one night in June, hunched over his custom-built Linux machine, he found the ultimate prize, an unsecured server with a .gov domain. The IP address traced to Huntsville, Alabama. He didn't know it yet, but he'd just discovered NASA's front door, and it was wide open. It was June 29th, 1999, when Tyler's scanner returned the IP address that would change everything, 192.76.91.54. The reverse DNS lookup showed a domain that made his heart skip, msfc.nasa.gov, Marshall Space Flight Center. NASA, the agency that put humans on the moon, the organization that represented America's technological superiority. And their servers had ports wide open with root passwords set to password123. Tyler couldn't believe it. He ran the scan 3 more times to be sure. Same result every time. NASA's security was weaker than his high school's network. It was almost insulting. He crafted his entry carefully. First, a simple buffer overflow in the DNS service gave him user-level access. From there, he escalated privileges using a kernel exploit that had been published online just weeks earlier. Within 17 minutes, he owned root access, complete administrator control, on 13 interconnected machines. No alarms triggered, no administrators noticed. NASA had no idea he was inside. Tyler started exploring, reading through NASA's own documentation on the compromised servers. That's when he realized what he'd stumbled into. These systems managed environmental control and life support systems for the International Space Station. The code controlled oxygen generation, carbon dioxide removal, water recovery, temperature regulation, everything keeping astronauts alive 250 miles above Earth in the vacuum of space. Tyler initiated the download at 11:43 p.m. His 56K dial-up modem pulled data at a crawling 5.2 kilobytes per second. The life support source code comprised 3,471 files totaling 38 megabytes. At this speed, it would take over 2 hours. He watched the progress bar creep forward, each percentage point representing code that NASA valued at $50,000 per file. This wasn't some corporate database or phone records. This was the software barrier between astronauts and death. By 1:52 a.m., the transfer was complete. Tyler had the entire life support codebase sitting on his hard drive in suburban Miami. A 15-year-old kid now possessed the blueprints to the systems keeping human beings alive in space. NASA's intrusion detection system finally noticed something was wrong on July 7th, 8 days after Tyler's breach. A system administrator named James McCarthy spotted unusual CPU activity on the Mars Pathfinder support server. He traced the intrusion back through audit logs, and his blood ran cold. Someone had installed a rootkit, created backdoor accounts, and stolen massive amounts of data. McCarthy made the call that would cost NASA 3 weeks of downtime and millions of dollars. Shut everything down, now. Engineers disconnected 43 servers from the network. Mission-critical International Space Station operations moved to backup systems running on isolated machines. Every single line of code required verification, 3.2 million lines across multiple systems. The International Space Station, orbiting at 17,500 miles per hour with 6 astronauts aboard, operated on emergency protocols while NASA searched for contamination in their code. The astronauts didn't even know they'd been hacked. NASA kept it quiet. Meanwhile, Tyler studied his prize. The life support code revealed NASA's approach to fault tolerance, redundancy patterns, sensor calibration algorithms. But something bothered him. The code quality was terrible. Deprecated functions, hard-coded values, comments written in 3 different languages. NASA's million-dollar software looked like a college group project thrown together the night before it was due. "This is garbage," he posted in an IRC chat room. "My Linux kernel has better error handling than NASA's life support systems." Another hacker responded, "If NASA is this weak, imagine the Pentagon." Tyler's fingers hovered over his keyboard. The Pentagon, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, nuclear weapons, biological warfare, chemical defense. NASA had been embarrassingly easy. How much harder could the military be? He was about to find out. Back in mid-August of 1999, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency operated 847 servers across 17 military installations. Tyler started with their facility in Dulles, Virginia, the main data hub connecting Fort Belvoir, Kirtland Air Force Base, and the Pentagon itself. The router was a Cisco 7206, still running software from 3 years earlier, with 14 known vulnerabilities that the military had never bothered to patch. Tyler exploited a flaw that Cisco had fixed back in 1997. One carefully crafted data packet later, he had full administrative access. The Pentagon's nuclear defense network opened like a cheap padlock from a dollar store. But Tyler wanted more than just access. He wanted intelligence. On August 19th, he deployed a custom packet sniffer across the Defense Threat Reduction Agency's network backbone. Every single piece of data flowing through the Dulles router now copied itself to Tyler's server in Miami. Emails from defense.gov addresses, login credentials for classified workstations, secret memos about Y2K preparations for nuclear command systems. In just 4 weeks, his sniffer captured 3,312 emails, 1,879 unique passwords, and 19 user accounts belonging to active military personnel. Tyler now possessed login credentials for computers inside the Pentagon's E-Ring, the innermost corridor where the Joint Chiefs of Staff planned America's defense strategy. A 15-year-old kid sitting in his pajamas in Miami had the keys to the kingdom. On September 3rd, Tyler logged into a major's workstation using the stolen credentials. The desktop contained 1,247 classified files, threat assessments for North Korean missile capabilities, contingency plans for biological attacks on major U.S. cities, communication protocols for nuclear submarine commanders, one folder labeled Operation Dragon Tempest, detailed cyber warfare strategies against China's military networks, ironically discussing the exact same vulnerabilities Tyler had just exploited to get inside. He read deployment schedules for chemical weapon response teams, satellite surveillance orders for Iraq, briefings about Russian nuclear stockpile security that even members of Congress hadn't seen. A 15-year-old in suburban Florida knew more about America's defense posture than most four-star generals. The most sensitive find came on September 18th. Tyler discovered email threads between the Defense Threat Reduction Agency director and the Secretary of Defense discussing a $298 million budget for cooperative threat reduction, the classified program securing loose nuclear weapons in former Soviet states. The emails contained GPS coordinates for vulnerable warhead storage facilities in Kazakhstan, transport schedules for weapons-grade uranium being moved out of Ukraine, names of Russian scientists being recruited to prevent them from selling their expertise to Iran. Tyler read about Operation Sapphire, where America had secretly airlifted 600 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium from Kazakhstan to prevent it from being stolen by terrorists or rogue nations. These weren't historical documents. They described operations happening right now, in real time, while Tyler watched from his bedroom. Yet, Tyler never sold this information. Never leaked it. Never weaponized it. He created a folder on his hard drive called Pentagon Trophies and locked it with military-grade 256-bit encryption. In his IRC channel, he bragged obliquely, "I could start World War III with what I know." Another hacker challenged him to prove it. Tyler posted a single sentence from a classified memo, redacting everything except the classification marking. TSCI, NOF, ORCON. Top secret, special compartmented information, no foreign nationals, originator controlled, the highest level of classification in the US intelligence community. The chat room went completely silent. Everyone understood. Phantom had penetrated the highest levels of American defense. But how long could a teenager keep such dangerous secrets? And who else might be watching these same networks? Back in late October of 1999, a Defense Threat Reduction Agency security analyst named Rebecca Foster noticed something strange in the Dulles router logs. Subtle but consistent patterns suggesting someone was duplicating their data stream. She ran a trace and her stomach dropped. Someone had been siphoning their entire communications network for 10 weeks straight. Foster's report triggered Flashpoint Alpha, the Pentagon's highest-level cybersecurity alert. Within hours, investigators from the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, Naval Criminal Investigative Service, and FBI Cyber Division descended on the facility. The evidence suggested a sophisticated state-sponsored operation, custom malware, careful operational security, no obvious attribution markers, Russia's SVR, China's Third Department, Iran's emerging cyber units. Nobody suggested checking Miami high schools. The investigation team, led by FBI Special Agent Marcus Rodriguez, traced the intrusion through 17 proxy servers across 9 countries, each connection deliberately chosen to frustrate legal jurisdiction, Russia to China to Brazil to Romania. The attacker knew what he was doing, but Tyler had made one critical mistake. When testing new exploits, he occasionally connected directly, believing brief 3-second connections wouldn't be logged. On November 14th, investigators found it buried in months of data. 3 seconds of direct connection from IP address 24.93.41.106, registered to a BellSouth customer in Pinecrest, Florida. Cross-referencing with NASA's investigation revealed the same IP address had accessed Marshall Space Flight Center systems back in June. The ghost had a name, Tyler Matthews, age 16, student at South Miami Senior High School. On December 8th, the FBI placed Tyler under 24-hour surveillance. Agents watched him ride his bike to school, eat lunch alone in the cafeteria, return home by 3:15 p.m. every single day. They monitored his internet traffic, now mostly online gaming and homework research, as if he'd somehow sensed the investigation closing in. Agents interviewed his teachers, who described a brilliant but withdrawn student. His IQ tested at 159. Perfect scores in computer science, but failing English and history from chronic absence. One teacher mentioned that Tyler had once fixed the school's entire network during lunch break, after administrators locked themselves out of their own system. He did in 20 minutes what our IT contractor couldn't do in 2 days, she told the FBI. The agents realized they weren't chasing a criminal mastermind or a foreign operative. They were pursuing a gifted child who treated national security like a video game level to be beaten. The arrest team assembled on January 26, 2000 at 4:30 in the morning. 15 agents, 3 local police units, 1 cybercrime specialist from Carnegie Mellon University brought in specifically to preserve digital evidence without destroying it. They'd planned for armed resistance, elaborate security systems, possible destruction of evidence. Instead, they found a suburban house with a broken porch light and newspapers piling up on the driveway. Agent Rodriguez gave the signal at 5:47 a.m. The battering ram hit the front door, which was unlocked. They rushed through the house to Tyler's bedroom and found him exactly as expected, seated at his computer, headphones on, typing code. He didn't even hear them enter until Rodriguez tapped his shoulder. Tyler turned around slowly, saw the guns and badges and bulletproof vests, and said simply, "I wondered when you'd show up." The evidence seizure lasted 4 hours. Agents cataloged 13 hard drives, 271 CD-ROMs, 44 floppy disks, 3 laptops, 2 desktop towers, 1 handheld organizer containing encrypted password lists. Tyler's spiral notebook, the one from his desk drawer, contained handwritten details of 89 successful intrusions, including Ford Motor Company, Lockheed Martin, and the Miami-Dade School District. But the most damning evidence came from Tyler himself. During interrogation, he provided a complete technical breakdown of his methods, walking federal agents through exploits they didn't even know existed. Agent Rodriguez later testified in court. "He taught us more about our vulnerabilities in 6 hours than our security audits found in 6 years." Why did Tyler confess so completely? What drove him to cooperate with the very system he'd humiliated? On September 21, 2000, Tyler stood before Judge Catherine Morrison in Miami's federal courthouse, wearing his father's oversized suit and looking younger than his 16 years. The assistant U.S. attorney presented the charges: 2 counts of juvenile computer crime, each carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years in federal prison. The prosecution emphasized unprecedented factors. First, minor to breach Department of Defense networks, youngest person ever to access classified nuclear defense information, total damages exceeding $1.7 million. But the prosecutor also noted Tyler's complete cooperation. His confession had prevented potentially years of investigation that could have cost taxpayers millions more. The courtroom held NASA engineers, Pentagon officials, Tyler's devastated parents, and 3 teenagers from his computer science class who came to support their imprisoned friend. Judge Morrison delivered a sentence that would define cybercrime prosecution for the next decade. 6 months in federal juvenile detention, 3 years probation, banned from recreational computer use until age 18. 500 hours of community service, teaching computer literacy to senior citizens, and written apologies to NASA and the Department of Defense. But Morrison added an unusual provision. Tyler would brief federal security teams about his methods, essentially becoming an unwilling consultant to the very agencies he'd violated. "You have a gift," Judge Morrison told Tyler. "A remarkable gift that you chose to abuse. This sentence aims to redirect that gift toward constructive purposes." Tyler's response surprised everyone in the courtroom. "I never meant to hurt anyone," he said, his voice cracking. "I just wanted to prove it could be done." At the federal detention center in Miami, Tyler served his time with 6 other juvenile offenders, drug dealers, car thieves, 1 attempted murderer. The kid who'd breached the Pentagon couldn't even check his email. He taught math to illiterate cellmates, fixed the guards' computers during supervised sessions, wrote 47,000 words about social engineering and human vulnerability in network security. His essay, Trust Architecture, Why Humans Are Always the Weakest Link, became required reading at the NSA's National Cryptologic School. Prison letters from his father contain coded messages written in Pascal programming language, small programs that, when compiled, printed, "I love you, son." Tyler saved every single one. Upon his release on March 19, 2001, Tyler faced a changed world. The dot-com bubble had burst, wiping out billions in wealth overnight. The September 11th attacks were just 6 months away, about to transform cybersecurity from a curiosity to a national obsession. The Patriot Act would soon make crimes like Tyler's federal terrorism charges. But Tyler's immediate challenge was simpler: living without computers. He worked at Radio Shack, selling technology he couldn't legally touch. Customers occasionally recognized his name from news stories. "Aren't you the kid who hacked NASA?" they'd ask. He'd smile politely and change the subject. The story should end here. Reformed hacker serves time, learns his lesson, becomes a productive citizen. But Tyler Matthews' tale has one final tragic chapter. In 2007, hackers breached TJX companies and stole 45 million credit card numbers in what was then the largest data breach in history. Federal investigators immediately suspected Tyler despite having zero evidence connecting him to the crime. The pressure, the surveillance, the automatic assumption of guilt, it triggered something dark inside him. On May 18, 2008, Tyler Matthews took his own life. He was 24 years old. He left behind a note that read, "I have no faith in the justice system. Perhaps my actions today will send a stronger message to the public." The teenager who exposed America's digital vulnerabilities became a casualty of the very system he'd tried to improve. His legacy lives in every security patch, every penetration test, every recognition that a curious kid with a computer can topple giants. But there's one detail nobody talks about. Remember that encrypted folder Tyler created? Pentagon trophies? The FBI never cracked it. Somewhere in a federal evidence locker sits a hard drive containing classified defense information, protected by a dead teenager's password. The agency that protects America's nuclear arsenal was outsmarted by a 15-year-old kid from Miami. And even in death, Tyler kept their secrets. So here's my question for you. Was Tyler a criminal or a whistleblower? Did he deserve what happened to him? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this story raises some serious questions about justice, punishment, and how we treat young people with extraordinary gifts. If this story blew your mind, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because we've got more incredible true crime stories coming your way. Stories about teenagers who outsmarted billion-dollar corporations, hackers who exposed massive conspiracies, and digital criminals who changed the world from their bedrooms. Thanks for watching Real Crime Central. Stay safe out there. And remember, the next great hacker might be sitting in a classroom right now, just waiting for the right target. This is Real Crime Central. See you in the next one.